Hey, how's everybody doing? Good? Thank you for coming to this session. Last one of the day. I feel honored, appreciate everybody being here, so we'll kick it off. I know the headline that you see there may feel a little bit like a cliche. Everybody talks about AI, but the fact of the matter is that we're still seeing AI leapfrogging every other technology that's been released in the past couple of decades. And what I really like about this is that these advancements that we're seeing, they're based on connecting your proprietary data, structured and unstructured, with the LLMs or models of your choice. It's so intimately tied to what information you can provide with the model that you pick, driving the type of innovation that we hear about with co-pilots, business process automation, new categories of applications, and insights and analytics that we never could have envisioned. For me, this is the piece that excites me most when I think about generative AI. It's this fact that we have a world-smashing technology that's dependent on me relative to its success. So, the one thing that comes with great power is great responsibility. My data is what fuels the success of generative AI. But what generative AI does is it adds a new surface to my data, one that I've never dealt with before. What happens with this new surface? I have to think through all of the challenges that it introduces. The first being security. How do I protect against malicious external actors that want to take advantage of jailbreaking? What do I do about internal threats? A file that I normally wouldn't have shared with an employee gets exposed through a model that it went to query. Next up, what about my commitment to my customers? Data privacy, ensuring that their information is always kept safe, regardless of how it's being used or where it's been sent. Then you start to get into data governance. I'm still accountable for showing the lifeline and the entire history of this data as it moves through my organization and through models. And then finally, the external governing bodies that I have a responsibility to from a regulatory perspective. So as we look at AI and all that it offers, and we understand our accountability to its success with data, we have this juxtaposition that we're faced with. And that juxtaposition is there's massive potential that can be afforded to us by adopting AI ahead of everyone else and bringing these use cases online sooner rather than later, but that massive potential is being met with a whole set of new risks and concerns that we never thought of. That's why a recent report found that only 37% of CIOs feel that their generative AI solutions are production ready. They're actually being hindered or they're at an impasse because of this juxtaposition. There's a ton of value, but there's a ton of concerns that we need to address. So, I wouldn't be stating a problem if I didn't have a solution for you. And the way that you solve this is I think most people come into it and what they think about is, how do I have this all-encompassing model that has access to all of my data at all points in time? That's not where I recommend you start. Where I recommend you start is by shrinking the problem down to what does good look like. And that's what we did at Securiti AI. With our solution GenCore, we thought through what does good look like on the smallest domain for the smallest use case, and then we're going to make it enterprise ready. So here's what we believe good looks like. Number one, giving you the ability to safely and securely connect to your enterprise data systems. Number two, being able to take that data that you've accessed and sanitize it, remove or redact any sensitive information or credentials that you don't want exposed. Then we want to take care of the technical bits for you. How do I handle data vectorization? Which embedding model do I use? Which vector database do I store my data in? What model do I connect it to? All of this is available to you in an interactive, clickable UI, so that now, instead of having to make a selection from a whole list of models, you simply select from what your enterprise has made available or recommended to you. Finally, how do you secure that all? And that's with the multi-layered firewall approach. A prompt firewall to catch those malicious actors, as I mentioned before, a retrieval firewall to make sure that anything that's not sanitized or redacted Maybe it might be based on user permissions you don't want it exposed, so it shouldn't be included in the response. And then finally, a response firewall to ensure that these non-deterministic systems always stay within your guardrails. Now, every plan, or as they say, no plan survives contact with the user, is you need flexibility. While we've envisioned what a beautiful pipeline is, from inception to production from a generative AI use case perspective, we also understand that they might be smaller, more agile use cases that you need, such as, I just want you to facilitate data preparation, I just need you to assist with data sanitization, or I just want you to load the vector DB for me. Whether it's all or just a portion of the pipeline, the entire pipeline that you saw on the previous slide is composable. So you pick what you want, when you want it, and whether you want it inside of an intuitive UI or to access it via an API, it's available to you. Now, here's where the efficiency and confidence comes in. What we've done for you is we've given you the ability to take all of your generative AI use cases and stack them on top of a common layer of enforcement policies, a common layer of certified models and LLMs, and then a common methodology for securely accessing and sanitizing your data. This consistency that you see across the policy controls, the access layer, and the model availability is where the confidence and efficiency comes in with the solution. With that said, there's more benefits that lie here. The additional benefits that you see is by leveraging a common framework and architecture, what we do behind the scenes is we start to add what we call contextual insights. True insights are giving you relationships that you didn't know existed. As you build out your pipeline, we connect files to LLMs, we connect vector databases to use cases, we connect sensitive data to outcomes. So now, at any point in time, regardless of where your interests lie, all of this insight is available at your fingertips. And when I say at your fingertips, what you can see here is an example of what we call a Gen AI pipeline. Here's a use case that a non-technical user performed with no coding experience, where they've brought to life this generative AI use case, and every single aspect of it is interactive. I can come on here and I can click to see where did we load data from. I can click to see what type of sensitive data is exposed. I can view my embedding model, I can view my LLM. What this gives you is the confidence that at any point in time, across any of the use cases that you've brought online, you have quick governance, provenance, and auditability of what's going on inside of your environment. A full 360-degree view of your generative AI pipeline. Now, with that said, I want to walk through a couple of simple use cases for you. So the first customer study that we've done here is bringing an entire Copilot online. The challenge that they faced here is all of the technical bits that are involved with actually calling the right embedding model, gathering the appropriate data into the appropriate locations, connecting that to the vector DB, and then exposing it, and then finally monitoring and managing all of this. By providing them all of this technology inside of an intuitive UI, they've found that they've gotten 70% faster responses, AI has handled 73% of their queries, and 92% satisfaction. Moving on here, you can see a use case where it's just a portion of the pipeline, where the goal here was, how do we get data vectorized or create the embeddings faster? A hard part of bringing generative AI online is a lot of times people have the documents. They're saying, hey, I have guides that I've built. I have manuals that I've compiled for my team. I want to store these in one location and make them accessible to everybody. Well, you have a challenge. You might have a username and password in that document. You might have somebody's name and address inside of it. You might have information that was safe when you built it for yourself or safe when you built it for your team, but you're about to bring a Copilot online. Why don't we go through and securely sanitize all of that data for you, create the embeddings, and now you can feel confident about bringing your use case online. The last one that you can see here is ensuring that as you go through and you're doing that data redaction and the data sanitization, it is in line with regulations. So the platform that we provide you with, not only does it understand what's sensitive in your data set, it has the ability to understand what types of sensitive data relate to what types of regulations. So now imagine instead of applying a policy that says, hey, we consider name, address, credit card number to be PII or SPI, instead saying, I want to comply with PCI DSS 4.0. Don't send out any data that might violate this. Immediately redact and sanitize it. That ability now to use your natural terms of thinking at the business layer to apply policies and rules that go across all your generative AI use cases facilitates your confidence as you bring these things online. Now I know what's happening with all of you right now. You're sitting here clamoring for when can I get a demo or when can I get my hands on it? So what I'm going to put up here is you can see here a QR code. There's a bunch of documents available for you, brochures, white papers, blogs, a ton of materials accessible. If you just capture that QR code right there or stop by our booth, we'll be happy to tell you more. Now, that is the end of my session, and I want to thank you all for being here at the end of the day. I didn't imagine I'd get 12 minutes of your time, but I'm appreciative of it. Have a great day, and drinks are on me if anybody wants to have one with me. Have a good one.